Hello and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a wrap up of May. I missed my Bout of Books 10 wrap up video, so I'm just going to go over all the books I read in May. The first book I read in May was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I started it during the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, but I didn't get finished, so I finished it off in May, and yeah, such a good book. I loved it. It's probably one of my favourite books I've read. It's about video games and MMOs in particular, and it's crammed packed with all this geeky information from history of video games, like computers, original computers, games back in the 80s, so many 80s references that even though I didn't guess, I'll appreciate it. The premise is that in the future, a company set up this thing called the Oasis, which is basically like a virtual reality world where you can go in and do stuff. You go to school in it, quest, adventures, like a large scale MMO. It also has like this interesting social commentary on society's interactions with video games, and how even though this is like a science fiction fantasy sort of hybrid, you can still see that it's not that far from reality. And yeah, I mean, Patrick Rothfuss was quoted as saying that it feels like it had been written for him, so personal, and you can't help but get that feeling that Ernest Cline had written this book for me. And after reading Ready Player One, I actually looked up Ernest Cline on Goodreads to see what he was up to, and he's writing a book which is due to be released on October 7th this year, so I can't wait for that. It's called Armada. So after finishing Ready Player One, I picked up Sweep, book one, the bind up of the first three books, which I also started reading during the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, so I had to finish that too. It's about this girl called Morgan who's kind of similar to Harry Potter, I guess, discovering she's a witch. She deals with that, and it's quite a good book. I mean, it's probably about a 3.5 out of 5 stars from me. It's not quite a 4. Book one, not a lot happens in it, and yeah, but as the story goes on, it does get a bit better with more of the paranormal and fantasy elements coming into play, and it's actually quite a quick book to read, to be honest. Like, it's large font, and yeah, you just speed through it, so I'm probably going to stick with the series and see where it goes. So now I'm up to Bout of Books 10 TBR, where that video left off, and the first book I picked up was Mistborn book 1, The Final Empire by Sanderson, and I really like this book. It's the first in the Mistborn trilogy, and it follows Vin and Kelsier to Mistborn, who have this special power from Allomancy, where they consume metals, and based on what metal they consume, it determines different things. It's quite an interesting magic system, to be honest. Brandon Sanderson's writing actually is really good as well. He manages to create this great atmosphere whereby there's a lot of tension and suspense when you're reading the story. It was exactly what I was looking for after reading A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. It's really good. I've already ordered the next 2 books, so they should be here soon. I can't wait to finish the story. I picked up Crown of Midnight by Sergio Maas afterwards, which is the sequel to Throne of Glass. I got about 270 pages into it by the end of the Bout of Books, and I like the story. It's a good sequel to Throne of Glass, picks off where it left off, characters develop, the plot gets a bit better, more and more fantasy elements come into play. Because it's a sequel, I don't really want to spoil anything, so I can't really talk about it other than the fact that I did like it. Not as much as Assassin's Blade, I must admit, but it was good. And I can't wait for Air of Fire to be released to continue on with the series. Now the reason I didn't do a wrap up video is obviously I read 2 books. I didn't even finish the second one during the Bout of Books. I was like, right, I'm just going to take my time and read the rest of my TBRs. So then I picked up The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And this is a book I didn't have a clue what it was going to be about before I read it. I just knew it was a Neil Gaiman book, and I'd heard a lot of good things about his writing. People seem to really like his writing style, his story, so I thought this would be a good one to get started with, and I wasn't wrong. I don't really want to say too much because I think it's a book you should go into not knowing so much about what's going to happen, like just going blind. But what I will say is, my god, this book's brilliant. Neil Gaiman's writing style is fantastic. Definitely a must read in my opinion. And finally, the last book which I'm currently reading is Vicious by V. Schwab, and I'm only 80 pages in at the moment, time of recording this, and already it's really good. It's really good. It's about roommates who they're doing a thesis at medical school, and are trying to recreate near-death experiences to get superpowers, and it's just about this rivalry. It jumps about in time between 10 years ago and like the present day, and it's really fast paced. I'm liking it so far, so you'll have to wait for my next wrap up video, probably of June I would imagine, because this is going to be finished in June most likely, and I'll give a more full review of it. So yeah, those are the 4 books I finished in May. I thought I'd give you the full May wrap up because I know I'd missed a couple of videos, like I hadn't really spoken about Sweep or Ready Player One after Dewey's 24-hour readathon, and I needed a video for the Bout of Books anyway, so combined together we have May wrapped up. And with that said, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.